Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster and we are here for part 14 of What If Deku Had Anti-Venom. Now then, I hope you have been enjoying this series and all my other vids. Please stay safe out there, and before the video starts, hit it. Okay then. Now then, as you remember from the previous part of this What If, due to the effects that a portion of anti-venom is stuck onto Eri, they are able to track her down easier and locate where she is. They've been making plans and preparations for the mission for a time, enlisting the help of two individuals outside of what happened from in canon. This one being Dylan, the human symbiote hybrid, to give them some more muscle, and plus they do also need to field test them, and given the situation, probably this would be the best. But they also have another student from UA joining them that wasn't a part of this as in canon. As they were in the meeting discussing about their tactics, Night Eye stood front and center and got everyone's attention. He looked around and stated, "I appreciate you all coming. Now then, to lay out our objectives. First, we have to secure all of the less powerful villains first. This will be key, since we don't need them interfering when taking on the stronger members of the Hasakai group. Second, we also have to take down Overhaul's lieutenant members, more or less they're his generals, his most closest followers. We need to deal with them as soon as possible before getting the Overhaul. And I believe each of you knows why. Due to the fact that Overhaul has a symbiote, this makes this matter highly complicated than what would be normal. Our prime objective is a small child that we know by the name Eri, and to get her out of there as soon as possible. Everyone a bit nervous about this, and I continued. For this, we will require Overhaul to be occupied and defeated by two individuals we have here. Looking over at Mirio and Izuku, he begins to state, the two that will most likely give the best results for this fight against Overhaul will be Lemillion and Agent Anti-Venom. Lemillion also has a symbiote, and his quirk allows him to phase through things, as well as all attacks, meaning, although he can attack Overhaul, Overhaul won't be able to touch him. And secondly, it's Agent Anti-Venom. His symbiote, as you may have guessed, Anti-Venom, has the ability to directly cause harm to other symbiotes, and has proven to cancel out extended quirks from their hosts. This is what we need most in this fight. We need fighters who can handle him and his symbiote properly. Also, Agent Anti-Venom is the only one who can perform something called the Purge on the symbiote bonded to Overhaul we learned named is Lasher. Once the purge is complete, the symbiote can be passed to a hero. That way we can prevent it from getting in the villain's hands again. Looking at everybody, he acts that they understood. With stern faces, they said yes. As they head to the Hasaikai's hideout, the police served a warrant. This obviously leading to a massive hulking man bursting through the gates, sending some policemen flying. With Izuku and Toga going up in the air, catching the police officers with their tendrils to help them land safely. As Ryuko's agency jumped the guy right off the bat, telling everybody else to hurry up. As the lesser, more weak members of the Hasakai group yell out to get them, they hear Overhaul's voice stating, "Make sure to kill them!" As they all say, "Yes, boss!" As they all stop in their tracks. As a black and purple symbiote covered individual comes from the other side of the wall, stating, "Well, these guys really are simple." As the police hurry up and handcuff them, they look at the young man stating, "Thanks, Blackout." This being Shinso with his symbiote Blackout, also using the symbiote's name as his hero name since he finds it kind of cool. With Dylan telling him, "Great job. Knew you'd be perfect for dealing with these small fry on mass numbers." As Shinso helped go in to the Hasaikai's group's base, as everyone put on gas masks, with Shinso producing the same scent as Midnight from whenever he had Blackout bond to her, causing the members of the Hasaikai to be knocked out swiftly. As he kept moving forward, he looked back, telling them, "Make sure you rescue that kid, got it?" As they agreed, coming up to the hidden door that Night Eye saw, using his quirk, Foresight, on one of the members of the Hasaikai. They could track down where Eri was, but they also needed to know the path to get there. Once they were there, he hurried up and moved the panels on the shelf in an array in order to open up the wall, telling everybody, "Let's go!" As Overhaul was grabbing Eri, he sent one of his men, Chronos, to go and hurry up and grab the other symbiote. Upon walking into it, he attached a container to the bottom and set the box that was holding it to electrify the symbiote and the animal it was bonded to. This resulted in the animal's death and forcing the symbiote into the container. He hurried up and closed it and ran to get to Overhaul after putting it into a bag. He was handed over Eri from Overhaul as he continues walking, telling Twice and Duplicate to follow the plan. This was an exit plan that they came up with as a way of massive distractions. Upon going through the underground portion of the Hasaikai group's base, we switch over to a man who's just stabbed himself with a quirk-enhancing drug, being one of Overhaul's leading men. He goes into the walls and begins to warp everything, more massively this time. As what looks like a guy with a gun and a plague doctor mask and a black top hat jumps out, only to be hit by one of Sir Night Eye's weirdly powerful stamps as he falls apart, with Aizawa stating, "It's twice his quirk. They are in league with the League of Villains." As Night Eye say, "Oh, just perfect." As the room shifts more, Izuku uses the combination of Wolford's quirk that he got from my island, Cemento's, and Pixie Bob's quirk to try to restrain it and track down the person doing this. He can get a generalization and try to restrict what he's doing, but it is difficult. But during this, they all get separated. Fat Gum and is separated with Red Riot and Codex, as they're facing off against 3 barriers and 3 Rappas. As Codex states, "Izuku, link us up!" Not really used to his code name yet, he just yelled out his actual name. Hearing this, before the walls begin to close off, he links everybody with his mental power. As Codex relays, "Listen, they're using duplicates. Our symbiotes can at least tell which ones are made out of flesh and blood and which ones aren't. So, tear up the ones that aren't with maximum prejudice. With maximum ruthlessness." As he goes at 2 of the Rappas, he produces 2 large symbiote blade tendrils, launching them at them while also electrifying them from the quirks he incorporated into himself from extending his symbiote part of his body to members of UA. As this causes the Rappas to disappear, he then goes after the barriers. They do make barriers trying to stop him, but these are a weakened version, and since there's 2 copies, the barriers aren't strong enough. As for Rappa, he goes straight for Red Riot, thinking he might be a challenge or at least some fun, but sending him flying into the wall. As now the real Rappa is going after Fat Gum. This being with the barriers being taken out, he tries to go after the real one, jumping up in the air, only to find himself encased in a spherical barrier made by the real one, which is much more durable. As he tries to get out, it ain't really working. With this, we see that Fat Gum is getting wailed on a lot, though this is part of his plan. As Hiroshima sees this, he's angry about himself. He can't stand it as he lunges forward, getting in between Rappa and Fat Gum, taking hits and pressing Rappa with his grit. As he goes for an attack, it's just blocked by the barrier, stating, "Hurry up. The other one is already hard to contain." As he's straining to keep both of the barriers at max power. This being where Fat Gum grabs Hiroshima, states, "Huh, you're really something, kid." That Fat Gum is now skinny, and his fist is blazing with energy. With him stating, "It looks like we both underestimated the strength of the hero Red Riot." as he breaks through the barrier, sending Rappa and Barrier to the wall unconscious. This causing the barrier around Dylan to be released as he hurries up and webs them nice and tight, adding extra layers of webbing onto Rappa. With that, I'm looking at him stating, doesn't that seem a bit excessive? With him stating, he didn't take as much damage as you thought. I'm not taking any chances. As the area is beginning to shift less and less due to Izuku's interference, as now we see Toga and Tamaki are stuck in the same room as the three goons Tamaki faced in canon. Though now with their numbers tripled. As Izuku tries to sense where the guy is, he notices where he is, giving Toga a message, giving a general direction. With a big toothy grin from Toxin stating, finally. Toga switches over using the blood data she has stored up in Toxin to turn into Ida, combining Ida's engine quirk with Muriel's rabbit quirk and Gran Torino's jet quirk, spreading her wings to fly up to the area and full on power kick the area, forcing the dude right out, slamming onto the ground. As then she uses the feathers from her wings, firing at the clones, recognizing the ones that aren't made out of flesh and blood. With Tamaki dealing with the three much easier than in canon. With the spider sense he has now, he's able to avoid their attacks much easier, and with enhanced agility, strength, and speed, he's able to go at them much more fierce. As he slams them against the wall after grabbing their legs with tendrils, Toga switches over to transforming into Todoroki and freezing them solid, adding some webbing just to be safe. With the area stopped moving, Night-Eye looked at Izuku and told him to hurry up and go after Overhaul. We'll deal with the villains remaining here. As while this was going on, Mirio took the initiative without telling anybody, sinking into the ground to get past the guy in the wall. As he looked back while running, sorry, I feel bad about just going, but we really don't have time for this. Worried about Eri. Izuku creates an opening, finding a copy of Dabi. He slides underneath, finding two Dabis now, avoiding both of them as he just keeps running. As now Aizawa and Night-Eye have to deal with the Dabi clones. Though, luckily, they don't have symbiotes. Though, they are seeing more and more Dabis now. With their Night-Eye stating, some of them have to be illusions from Duplicate's quirk. He must be here as well. With Venom scoffing, ugh, honestly, so it's annoying. As he lashes tendrils left and right, lashing at the illusions and the copies of Dabi, which are burning him a bit. But as they're focused on Aizawa, Sir Night-Eye is able to take his stamps again and take out the clones, twice stating, Oh man, they took out all the duplicates, all the copies I made, man. Duplicates stating, you can make more, right? Yeah. Duplicate pointing upward stating, I think it's time we make our exit. Things look kinda bad. As the millions running down the hall a good bit ahead of everybody, while all that was going on, we see him go up against two members of the Hassaikai. One drinking, causing Muriel to feel tipsy, and the other causing Muriel to tell him what his quirk is. But Riot takes control since he's less affected by the drunken feeling and goes directly for the attack, striking them both and webbing them up so that they can't follow. Soon after, he catches up to Overhaul, going directly at him, with Overhaul trying to block with his tendrils from his symbiote, only for the phase through and kick him in the head. As his subordinate tries to attack, this is then met by a tendril slap to the face, with another catching Airy and a bag that the guy was holding. Riot mentioning to Mirio, well, it looks like they have another symbiote with them. Best bet it wasn't being very cooperative with them. Good for us, I guess. With Overhaul furious, he's just mangles the entire area with his quirk, fully enveloping himself with his symbiote, yelling, "Give Harry back!" causing the whole place to just get filled with spikes. Using his quirk to phase the spikes through, while using the tendrils to protect Airy and the bag with the symbiote in it, as well as using blades to destroy pillar spike after pillar spike. This continues for a bit. With Riot's help and the quirks that Riot has incorporated into himself, like Sir Night Eye's Foresight and High Spect from Nezu, from the physical contact that he made with the symbiote on them, and the symbiote redirecting its own eyes to look into theirs, it allowed him to see the next 2 hours of their future, making this far easier. Though, doesn't mean it's any less difficult getting close to him. Though the subordinate is knocked out for the count, with a symbiote enhanced kick and tendril slap, they are pretty disoriented. So, giving Izuku enough time to smash through the wall, one for all, just coursing through him in the symbiote. Blaster states, "This is bad," with Overall stating, "I know." As they were continuing to fight, with Izuku going in, as he was using his tendrils to slap away Overhauls, causing pain to his symbiote. During this, something happened. The whole ceiling began to cave, as they just see the member that attacked them when they first began the raid fall down, along with Ryuko, Nejire, and Uraraka and Asui. As they fall down, Overhaul is just furious, sending out spike after spike. Avoiding the spikes as best as they can, Nejire had to help out Ochako and Sue avoid them, extending 2 tendrils for them from poison. While this was going on, the canister fell out, the one containing the symbiote that Overhaul had contained. After it broke, it went into the creases of the cracked ground, moving around. Izuku tried to use the quirk from the Cementos inside of Anti-Venom to offset his power, but it just got destroyed and then just launched back at him. As Mirio tried to put Eri down someplace safe, he looked at her, stating, "It's gonna be okay. Be safe." As he goes off to fight, able to attack better now that he doesn't have to worry about Eri, but still has to worry about Overhaul's hands and Lasser's tendrils that could do the same thing as its hands. As Lasser's speaking the words out for Overhaul, remarks, "Eri, everyone's going to die, all because of you. Be a good girl now," as he creates more spikes just shooting out everywhere, being destroyed one after another. The other heroes start to get going, but Codex stops them before they get too close, stating, "It's a mess there. I can feel it. They're going full on crazy." As Shernida asks, what about Lemillion and Agent Anti-Venom?" Codex states, "I can tell they're doing fine, although they are putting a bit of effort into this, as they're glad that they're still alive." While this was going on and Harry was freaking out, worried about causing more death, all because of her, this is when the symbiote that broke free from its container began to slither up to Eri, as a mass of purple and silver began to envelop her. In the mindscape, the symbiote stated, "This is not your fault. You're just the victim of somebody who wanted to do some very bad things. And he needed you to do it. He tried to use me to do it as well. I refused. You're not a bad person, Eri. Just a kid who's afraid." Eri looks at the figure, stating, "Who are you? Why do you want to help me?" As the figure, not having a mouth right now, but eyes, has a gentle look on it, stating, "Because you don't deserve all that's happening to you. Will you let me be your strength?" As Eri reaches out to it, accepting it. As the symbiote states, "You can call me Gorn." As Scorn envelops Eri, the silver arm of Scorn begins to change at the end, creating a blue light, and one on its chest, blasting a beam of energy directly at Overhaul, sending him back. Looking back, they see Scorn Eri, as Scorn states, "It's a good thing I bonded to Stark before S.H.I.E.L.D. captured me." Part of why Scorn was captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. is because it was jumping from host to host of great intelligence, like Mr. Fantastic, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, and etc., getting all the information and blueprints from the devices from them and incorporating their intelligence. Scorn is a type of symbiote that is more or less a nanobot cyborg symbiote, making it able to recreate technology out of itself. Even a temporary arc reactor and a pulse receptor. With Anti-Venom stating, "I did not expect that, but I'll take it." With Overhaul getting more furious, he destroys everything around him. With this, Izuku shoots a web at Eri, pulling Eri towards him, strapping Eri to his back as he begins to maneuver around, trying to go at the opening up in the ceiling, thinking that he has to get Eri and Scorn out of here. As Anti-Venom did recognize this, there wasn't really much words, as memories from Anti-Venom that went to Izuku, telling him who the symbiote was. As Overhaul has had enough, he goes to the lackey that fell through the floor, or the ceiling in this case, and destroyed him, then used himself, his symbiote, and the area around him to turn himself into a monster. Uraraka using her quirk to get it some air so that it can get out of here and can be dealt with. As Codex gave them the all clear, they hurried up and grabbed who they could, checking for injuries and such. Luckily, nothing more than some scrapes, bruises, and maybe some sprains. But back on the surface, as Izuku landed, he linked up with Eri and Scorn telepathically, stating, "Okay, you're on our side, right?" Scorn remarking, "Interesting. And yes, I am. Also, look out." As he jumped away, feeling the spider sense, only to see the monstrous Lasser Overhaul in his current state. As Izuku's wondering, "Oh, great." As Anti-Venom asked Scorn what Eri's quirk was and if it could be useful. Scorn remarking, yes, Eri's quirk is able to rewind living things. Hearing this, Izuku smirks, telling Scorn that'd be perfect. Don't worry. Taking bits of cement and some metal around, remolding it, grabbing it with symbiote tendrils, creating a protective cell around Eri on his back. Looking back at Eri, he tells her, "Don't worry. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You won't be used by him anymore." Scorn activates Eri's quirk on me. With Scorn not knowing what this is, Anti-Venom just tells Scorn, "Trust him." As he powered up fully, 100%, disappearing with a kick to the neck of the monster, sending it skyward. As he uses 100% one for all full cowling, he goes around in the air, punching over and over again, causing the wraps that Anti-Venom was making around his fist shatter. As he keeps punching, Scorn states, "I get it. Your host can't handle the brute force of their own power. Not bad." Using 100% one for all does still kind of break his bones, but with his body being rewind, this helps immensely. As he goes stealth mode, cloaking himself, and gets up close to overhaul using a max power venom shot, causing the Blaster to be writhing in pain. He continues breaking apart Overhaul's milkshake body over and over again as he kept remaking it, only to be dealt monstrous blows all at once, blowing off chunks while they're in the air. Following this, Scorn charged up Ares' quirk a bit more as they go for the final strike, ultimately disabling the merger between Overhaul and his subordinate. While they were still falling, Izuku flares out his wings, going directly for Overhaul and Lasser, extending the tendrils to remove Lasser and perform the purge, ripping Lasser clean out. As we see Duplicate and Twice, who reminisced about their plan to escape that went similar to as in canon with Twice and Toga. As they got out of there. With that, they now have captured Overhaul and the Hassaikai, removed Lasser, and performed the purge. They now have Lasser in their possession, as well as a symbiote Scorn and Eri. With things calming down a bit, they were wondering what to do about Eri. There was some hesitation bringing her to a hospital, since Scorn's already had been poked and prodded, and Scorn is keeping Eri pretty healthy right now, meaning she doesn't get a fever. He monetized, he monitored Eri's quirk and kept it in control so it wouldn't overwhelm her, causing the fever to begin with. As Eri pulls back the symbiote over from her face, she asked, "Where do I go now?" Izuku unmasking himself as he puts Ares down. He looks at Eri and smiles, asking, "You like to come with us?" Eri seeing that smile as Lemillion shows up again, stating, "Yes!" Being excited that they saved Eri, he runs over stating, "I'm so glad you're okay. And you know what? I think silver and purple look good on you." Remarking about Scorn, who comes out of her shoulder stating, "Thank you. I think I look nice on her as well." As Eri smirks at Scorn and looks back at Lemillion and Izuku as the states, "Will I be safe?" They smile, saying, "Of course, and no one will hurt you, not on our watch." As he smiled, taking this as a yes, they take Eri to UA directly, finding it as a bit of a safe haven now that she's bonded to a symbiote. With that, they begin asking Scorn some questions about what she did to Overhaul with that energy blast. She states that she bonded to a number of highly intelligent individuals, one of which had the blueprints to that trick in their heads. As this went on, Nezu asked if Scorn could supply blueprints to things like this. As Scorn looked over to a computer, extending a silver port, modifying it into a USB port, plugging in the computer, and transferring the information on the blueprint on a large-scale arc reactor that was used like in the first movie for Iron Man, stating, "I believe this should be very interesting to you." With the person at the computer not understanding what this is, Nezu took a look, stating, as he spit out his tea, stating, "What the what? I think we'll send this to High Island. And there's more? Why would you?" Thorn stated while sticking out of Aries' shoulder, stating, "Part of a deal. You keep us safe. We supply you with blueprints like that. We have a deal?" With Nezu taking a sip from his tea again, since he spit out the last sip, stating, "I believe this would be more than adequate. As long as you protect young Eri." Thorn states, "Of course, like I wasn't already planning on that. This one is quite special, and a host I wouldn't give up for anything." With Eri smirking. Scorn is somewhat like the older sister, like motherly older sister to Eri. Even going as far as to plug in to the Wi-Fi, hacking streaming systems, and getting her access to streaming systems for free. Just to let her watch some kids shows like a normal kid for once. As Nezu wasn't gonna question this, it was already much of a headache, but it did help knowing that Aries' quirk would be kept in control with Scorn's help. And since Scorn's a part of Aries, well, sharing Aries' body, one could help Aries train to use it automatically on her own. As per this, Eri goes to stay at UA much earlier and ends up in the dorms. As Izuku still had Lasher, he went go visit his friend after returning from a treatment from Recovery Girl checking on him. Smirking, Izuku states, "Man, Kirishima, I heard about what you did. That gotta take a lot of guts." With Kirishima laughing, he states, "Thanks, man." As he looks at the orb that's sticking out of Izuku's arm, he had to ask, "What is that?" "Oh, it's Lasher. I already did the purge on him, and I have an idea. Would you like to become his host? But I have to check something first." Extending a tendril from anti-venom to him, you can tell that he is compatible and would be a good match. He knows Kirishima pretty honorable, though it's weird about the whole manly thing to him sometimes. He knows all in all Kirishima is a decent person. Kirishima shocked by this, he states, "Whoa, are you serious?" With him smirking, stating, "Yep, though be careful. Overhaul's quirk is still inside of Lasser's genetic memory, so you'll have to be careful." With Kirishima stating, "Whoa, that's intense. It's he's all good, right?" With Izuku reassuring him, stating, "Oh, don't worry. Anything from Overhaul or any negative effects from previous hosts has already been purged. I just figured you'd be a good candidate for him." Smirking, Kirishima thanks. "Thanks, bro. And I'm grateful that you trust me with something like this. Though I am a bit nervous." Izuku laughing, stating, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." As he guides the orb to Kirishima, stating, "You can go at your own pace. We can take it to a container and do this later," but Kirishima with a gulp stating, "Okay, I think I could do this." Extending his hand as an opening unleashes the symbiote Lasher onto Kirishima. Merging with him, as he sees Lasser. Lasser asking, "Are you to be my host?" With Kirishima just smirking, stating, "That's right, you're gonna be my bro, and I got your back and you got mine. You feel me?" With Lasser stating, "Energetic one, aren't you?" Well, you'll be less monomaniacal than my last host. As he goes and latches on to Kirishima. With this, he feels pretty energetic and thanks Izuku for the high five. Now, as for Overhaul's prison transfer, that goes somewhat similar as in canon. Though, yeah, the whole police car got pretty wrecked, worse than in canon. As Spinner was still driving, with Spike stating, "Oh man, that's intense." After getting Overhaul out, Shigaraki looked down at him, stating, "Huh, lost your symbiote, lost the girl, lost everything." He knew that it was some kind of girl that he was using to harvest the quirk canceling drug, but he didn't know who it was, as he just scoffs, remarking, "Honestly, I know you wanted to get rid of quirks. Don't you think that's a little hypocritical? Don't you think so?" Looking back as Carnage emerged from his shoulder, stating, yes it is." As Carnage cuts off one of Shizuki's arms, causing him to yell in pain. As Homura grabs his other arm, beginning to decay it, as he states, "One so fixated on destroying quirks really shouldn't have one," taking a blade, cutting his other arm off. "And now you don't have any quirk, or even a thumb to suck on." As he looks back at Carnage, stating, "I think you know what to do." With a devilish grin, Carnage lunges at Shizuki, full on enveloping him with a screech, going back to Tomura again, as extending a tendril, causing destruction similar to Overhaul's quirk from Carnage's tendril, with Tomura smirking, stating, "Thanks for the gift, and for these," as he waves the quirk canceling drug and the cure for it in his face as he walks away. Overhaul yelling, screaming in pain from what just happened, with Carnage remarking, "You know what? I think that felt even better than just mindlessly slaughtering them. Honestly, seeing him suffer so much and being able to live. Honestly, if I would have known seeing this would be so entertaining, me and my previous host probably would have done it a lot more." With Homura laughing as they walk off. After the news hit, this became pretty disturbing, as it seems like Overhaul was pretty much in a catatonic state, all freaked out. And they figured that Carnage might have bonded to Overhaul to gain his quirk and cut off his arms to make sure that he can use his anymore. This was bad. But they had a victory. And they got 2 new symbiotes, and now they have to take care of a kid. Well, UA does. as Aizawa is placed into as Aries' official caretaker or overseer, whichever one you want to label it as Thorn and Venom somewhat get along, at least for Aerie. With all this, we are now ending this part for now, right here. I do hope you have enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys later.